Yes, the fact that this law now exists is thanks to Gina Martin, who ended up campaigning for this issue, having been subjected to upskirting at a festival. She caught somebody taking a picture up her skirt, and she took the phone to the police on site. So she did everything right, but when she took the phone to the police said, well, there's not really anything we can do. And the tricky thing is that this fits between the law. So voyeurism is illegal, but that requires for images to be taken in a private place. So if an image is taken in a changing rooms or in a public toilet or anything like that, it can then be a crime of voyeurism, because this is a place where people expect privacy and a photograph is taken. But obviously, with the development of mobile phones and that kind of stuff, we have now seen that this taking pictures of people in public places but of private parts of their body has created a problem in terms of how the law defines this stuff. And so what this has done is it has stopped this problem within law of this falling between some gaps. So that's how it's ended up taking till 2019 for this to be a crime.
What do you think it says about society that this actually even became a problem in the first place? I mean, it's very easy to blame the technology, to say that these mobile phones make it possible, but people have to choose to use the technology in that way.
Yeah, and I think this isn't a new problem. The idea that women's bodies are public ownership and that men can do what they want to women's bodies is something that we see across history. And, sadly, there's a lot of it within the Bible as well. And so this isn't a new problem, but it's a new manifestation of an old problem. And the challenge is essentially that we need to get to a point where men don't see women as some sort of public property, that they have the right to do what they like to.
Is part of the challenge there, if I hesitate to say helping men, but enabling men to see that that is what they are doing in these instances? Because I would imagine that a good number of those who have done upskirting in the past, I don't even know what the correct verb would be, wouldn't claim that a woman's body is their property in any way, shape or form, but these actions don't reflect that.
Well, this is it. Everybody likes to think they're a good person, and men who perform different ways of being violent or abusive to women, of which this fits into that category of abusive behaviour, will justify that, well, it's not abusive because, or it's not harmful. But the first thing we have to do is say it is abusive, it is problematic, and actually we all have a responsibility to be part of the solution, because there's one problem in that certain men are choosing to do this, but there's another problem that their friends are not challenging them when they're doing it. Or actually when we're in a public place, if we see a man behaving in a threatening or creepy manner towards a woman, how many of us actually get involved and say, no, don't do that, particularly men doing that to other men. So I think there is a responsibility across society to challenge this. There's also a responsibility in terms of parenting. All these men who've done upskirting started off as boys, and what sort of messages were they given from their parents about what it meant to be a boy and how we should treat girls and what it means to be a man and how we should treat women. So it is something we can all be part of the solution for, but it's going to take time, and I think it is about recognising there is a problem that we all need to be responding to.
In law, there has been, broadly speaking, equality between men and women for quite some substantial time, but we're talking about the culture there, and culture does not change just because somebody says this is no longer permitted. Now, earlier on, you mentioned the issue that there is several examples of this within the Bible. Is there an issue with the culture within the church, the Big C church, not any individual congregation necessarily, around this?
Well, I think it's not necessarily about upskirting, though. It could happen. I think often we have this idea in the church that purity culture and the idea that we should save-sex or marriage will somehow protect us if we hold to these traditional views. But actually what it ends up being is the other side of the same coin in some ways, in which women are blamed for being seductive to men by wearing the wrong clothes. I've come across churches who ban women wearing flip-flops because some men have foot fetishes, where women are told that they can't wear too low-cut tops or too short skirts, or girls are being told they have to dress a certain way to not distract the male worship leaders. These are all actual stories of things that I've come across. And so we do have challenges in the church, not only in terms of this predatory behaviour that this is about, but also about the way that women are blamed and held as responsible for men's sexual behaviour. And so that definitely needs to be part of the response to this. It's not only about sexually violent violent behaviour, but it's also about the responsibility that we put onto women and taking it off women and saying, actually, if somebody is lustful, the responsibility is on them. Jesus doesn't say, if your eye causes you to sin, go and tell the person who